Okay, as you can see, we are in the same clothes as the video clip we had earlier. So, which means I videoed these two videos on the same day. And this is because that I realized that I didn't do this video, and this video should have been done like long time ago, but somehow there's a lot more other things that have been popping up, so this was like always put aside, and it seems I have long forgotten it until one of mommy's friend kind of brought up the link of that video, and after I watched it I realized that, oh, I should have been filming this and I forgot about it. So what is today's topic? I think you already saw the headline. That's how mommy deliver you. Yes. Okay, so if you watch the video on the part that mommy almost lost you, you would know that at the very last trimester, mommy carry you pretty high. What does that mean? Which means that you are nowhere near the opening that you come from. So you are still very high up near mommy's heart, so you are not going down. So that's when we thought that oh, you are not coming anytime soon. So your EDD was 27 July 2018. That was your EDD date, expected due date. But we went for a scan on the 25th of July 2018. So on the very last scan, you are still very high up. So the gynae actually has already arranged a induced date with mommy and daddy. So we just have to go back home and give a thought, see whether we want to have a wait or we are going to proceed with the induce. So we have already set a date on the 2nd of August 2018 for induce if you don't come by then, because by then mommy will be almost 41 weeks pregnant full. Oops, you are getting cranky. Okay, so you are getting cranky, so we change your position. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so yep, so we actually already set a date on the 2nd of August. That will be the induced date. So, and daddy and mommy has been talking since like mommy is about 6 months pregnant, like what if you come early and things like that, because your grandma, my mom, first baby actually came 2 weeks earlier, and so is mommy's grandmother, your great grandmother. So kind of like I thought that I will come to deliver you slightly earlier, because while pregnant at about 34 weeks, you were low, super duper low. So that's when mommy was very worried that we will actually give birth earlier than 37 weeks. So which is not full term. That's when I was very worried. So from since 30 weeks we have been talking like, what if you really, like born early, preterm baby and things like that. So it caught us pretty surprised that, oh, suddenly you went up at 34 weeks, so you suddenly 35 weeks, so suddenly you just move upwards and refuse to come down. So your daddy's work schedule is pretty flexible in a sense and inflexible in another sense. So there's only 30% of the time that he won't be at home at night. So the rest of the timing, he will definitely be around during nighttime. So you are not so worried that what if you really decide to come around the midnight timing. But it seems like you always fight the odds. So that is what happens also. So at about 3:45, which is a normal timing that I will wake up for a toilet break, while I was standing up, I heard a popping sound, like, you know, when you're trying to crack your bones at your knuckles and things, you will hear this. So it's not that much, but it's only one time. So, and I can feel a gush at the bottom. My first instinct wasn't that the water broke, but I thought that I accidentally wet myself, because you know how at the last trimester with the belly so big, you know, your bladder just shrink and things like that. And there's a lot of pregnant ladies have mentioned that at very last trimester they have issue on controlling on that part. So I just thought, oh no, I just wet myself. So I just thought that I'll just go to the toilet and clean myself up and change of clothes, and that's it. But because okay, so with some things everything was covered up, so I only can continue the story today, which is about 2 days after the last filming ended. So I think I stopped at the part that my water broke, and and at first I mistook it as I'm wetting myself, but it wasn't, because when I went to the toilet and wipe, it was all blood. So that's when I know that it wasn't just I wetting myself. So my husband decided to call the emergency ambulance and things like that. Okay, sorry, I'm just caught up with my threads of thoughts. Okay, so let me reiterate the whole thing. Was I knew my water broke, so, or at least I started bleeding. So that's why I gave my husband a call, and I didn't get him until it's about 10 minutes after also. And he decided to make a call to use the ambulance instead of me taking the public transport, as he is a bit worried that I'm all alone and things like that. With a medical person, it's definitely more assuring and things like that. So my husband, your dad, called, and the ambulance personnel called me back, and they arrived about 15 minutes after, which was, by then it was already about 4:40 or so, 4:40, 4:45. And they double checked with me with some details, and then we set off to the hospital that I am supposed to go. So throughout the whole trip, there was no contraction and everything. So to the point that the the medical people were just wondering whether really is water broke or not, because I don't look so like I'm going to be in labor soon. So I reached the hospital at about near 6. No, not near 6, about near 5. About 5:05 or something like that. And then I started to admit myself. I have to like fill up the forms, applications, and answer some of their questions and things like that. So by that time, there was a little bit of contraction. It wasn't very bad, but I do feel some cramping, but it's more like kind of menses cramp kind of feel. And then I lay on the bed, which means after I finish with all the stuff and get myself changed and all ready and really lay on the bed, it was already 6:30 in the morning. So at 6:30 in the morning, the nurse came in to double check everything, went to put an IV drip, and if I'm going to take up the epidural and things like that. And after all these are done, they actually give a check how much I'm dilated. By then I was about 3 or 4 cm dilated. So they told me usually an hour 8 cm. So the last moment to get the epidural is about 7 cm. So by 6:30 I'm only 3 or 4, so they thought that they can kind of dilly-dally it a bit, because I told them that I wasn't very sure if I want to take up the epidural yet. So they says that, okay, give a thought and we will come back around 7:30. But at 7 a.m. the nurse came rushing in, and they, like try to ask me again if I want to take up the epidural. I was a bit startled because they were mentioning earlier that they only come back an hour later. Then it was only 30 minutes, and there were so many nurses coming in and things like that. So kind of shocked me. Okay, so that's when I asked, oh, I thought yours says that around 7:30 or something. She says that my contractions frequency was too high, so they presume that I will go into labor pretty soon. So they tried to like ask me and get everything ready. So I told them, okay, yes, I do want to get my epidural, because my husband is not anywhere near, which is your dad is not anywhere near knocking off. So no choice. It's better to take the epidural because it will slow down the whole process. So we went straight into the epidural thing, and after that they give a check again, and I was already 7 cm dilated by then, within 30 minutes. Okay, so they told me that, okay, now I will move you from the waiting place to the delivery room. So they shifted me. It was just like along the corridor, just a room kind of next door. So I shifted there and waited for a while. The nurse came in and said, give my husband a call and try to make sure that he's able to rush out as soon as possible. So I tried to get him and everything, and I only managed to get your dad like 5 minutes after I shifted. And I passed the phone to the nurse because they have to like confirm with him whether it's okay that they cut the epidural cord and things like that. And after we hang up the phone and we gave another check, and I was already 8 cm dilated. So within that 10 minutes, another 1 cm dilation. So I was pretty worried that your dad wouldn't be able to make it. So the nurse went out, and somehow I think the medication starts to kick in or something, because that's when I don't really feel anything anymore again. There was no more contractions, no cramping, and your dad called again, and I told him he has to be fast and everything else. He says he's trying to knock off, trying to catch a taxi. And it was pretty shocking. Everything was going like pretty fast. And then the nurse came in again and checked while your dad was on the phone, and I was already fully dilated. So that was at 7:20 or so. So, but I told them that there was no contraction feel and everything. So the nurse says that because the medication should have already kicked in. So now just have to wait for the contractions to start again, and then that will be the labor period. So I just kind of waited, and thankfully there's no more contraction after. So even though I'm fully dilated and I have good amount of the amino fluid, so it isn't a big worry for you still in there. So we just kind of wait. And your dad reaches the hospital at about 8 in the morning. And we kind of chat a little and get ourselves kind of ready. And about 8:20 in the morning, the cramping starts all over again. After the nurse coming in a couple of times and asking me to push. So after I start pushing, the pain and contraction starts all over again. And by 8:20, the strength of the cramping was pretty intense. So the nurse, everything starts to get ready, and they come in and check whether how far along I am and things like that. And they says that I'm ready for labor. So about 8:30, they get the room all ready. Yeah, all the lightings, my legs up and everything else. The bassinets, it's not a bassinet, but the baby kind of container thing. Yep. So around 10 minutes after of pushing, the doctor came. So about 8:35 or 8:40, that's I think the actual pushing comes. So that's when the actual labor is. So at that point of time, I start to push you and everything. Yep. So and it was very, very intense because it's super painful even though I'm under epidural. And ridiculously, they still can ask me if I feel the pain. Okay, so but ultimately it was super painful when pushing you. Yes, it is. Okay, so it was really intense pain at the very last few push, and we have changed a couple of positions to see which positions to push is the best, and I can't recall the rest, but it was quite intense for a while. And at last there's one push and I can feel like something coming, and I wasn't too sure was that you or was that so anyway, after that feeling, I didn't hear any crying or anything like that, so I wasn't sure what's going on. And then the doctor asked me to give another few pushes, and then that's when I heard your cry. And and it was the best moment, I would say, because that's the best cry. And though I can't see you right at the start, so you came out right at 9+. And I think the push was the intense push was last about 25 minutes or so, so it wasn't that bad. So everything was very fast and furious. So if I didn't take the epidural, I think you're already out by 7+ in the morning. So thankfully the medication worked, and your dad managed to see and cut the epidural cord and things like that. So so that's the story how you arrived. And that's the first time mommy really sat on the ambulance as a patient, and it's because of you. Yep, it's because of you. Okay, so so that's about all of your story. So luckily after that everything was pretty smooth. There was just a little rupture, so they had a few stitches, and then I just went down. After you are born, you were on my chest for like 5 to 10 minutes or so. I can't recall how long it was actually. And I was pushed into the patient room and just wait. And I only saw you the second time at night at around 8 p.m. That was the second time I saw you. And yeah, so it was quite an experience with this buff thing. So yeah, so this is everything about our birth. Hopefully I didn't get you too confused what's happening. So hopefully you enjoy it too. Okay, and that's the end, and let's roll another clip of you.